It's been a very long and frustrating road getting my Xmaxx to where it is now. I fell in love with it the first time I ever saw one run in person, and I knew I wanted one. So when I had a chance to buy a used one, I jumped at it because the money was right. And I knew what it had been through, and I knew it was going to take some repairs before I could start doing upgrades and modifications to make it run up to the way I wanted it to. But I didn't know the extent, and this video, part 1 here, goes into a lot of the issues that I ran into before I could even start doing upgrades. This Trashmaxx here almost single-handedly ate my entire RC budget, and that's pretty impressive. But you can see how it settles there. That suspension was my main goal, but here's some footage from long before I ever had a YouTube channel. So like I said, this is video from before I started my YouTube channel and before I ever thought about buying this Trashmaxx off my buddy there. You can see how it pretty much handles like a sack of crap. I mean, right there, you just look at it go through the air, nothing ever went straight. There was just so much slop and play and everything. It was just a joke to just send it off something just to see if it would break. I mean, that's pretty much its only purpose. You can see it in some of my older videos before I got it. This is actually one of my first runs right here. I'd had it for 2 weeks at this point, and the cush drive took a crap on me. Pretty easy, straightforward repair, no big deal. Then the real troubles began. For about 3 weeks I started getting this terrible sound that I couldn't isolate. I actually at one point slapped this sticker on there thinking that might help, you know, it could use all the help it could get. Kind of joking but serious. But anyway, you can see all the parts here. That was pretty much the next 4 weeks of my Xmaxx ownership, and we'll get into details about this. But first I want you to listen to this sound, because this is just hilarious.
Probably scaring every dog in the park.
Only got rear-wheel drive.
After listening to that, the Jesus Loves Me sticker should make perfect sense to you now. So that footage was from my New Year's Eve video where we smashed the Polaris side-by-side. And for 3 weeks there was this clicking sound that I thought was the front diff or the rear diff. Couldn't isolate it. I replaced all the bearings along the driveline. The diffs were fine inside and out. I suspected that it was the center diff, where the coupler for the center driveline goes into, was slipping on the inside of the center diff, but I didn't have anything as a baseline to compare it to, so I just kept sending it, and eventually it finally cooked out, and you'll see some really cool, nasty video of what that looks like here in a second. But yeah, it was 3 weeks of having to take it apart, put it back together, listening to that horrible sound. The night that it smoked out, Hot Rod was asking me what had happened, so these are pictures that I had taken, that I sent him, along with a little short video that kind of explains what I'm talking about when it comes to this coupler right here. You can see the slop, how it goes in and out. You'll see what happens when it wears too much. So this finally worked its way free and spun around in here enough on its own without spinning the actual differential. Got it hot enough to melt this motherfucking bearing. Into the bulkhead. And apparently got it hot enough that it fucking cooked the diff fluid straight out of there somewhere. The seal's still good, so I don't know how it blew out, unless it blew out through behind here or something, like it boiled out, because it's just caked here, man. Caked. But the seal's still good, so it don't make no friggin' sense. So looking back at that old video I sent to Piper, I slipped up a little bit, so I'm going to clarify here. Do you see how it's sitting right now? What would happen is the center diff would spin without spinning the coupler and the center drive shaft, and it would click, and I wouldn't have front wheel drive. And then it would go into a deeper position, like right here, and I would get front wheel drive and the clicking would go away. Eventually, it had wore itself enough that it stopped clicking and started screeching, like it was possessed by demons. This was a very expensive and time-consuming repair, and there's not a lot of information out there. There's a lot of videos that say mystery clicking, and I can guarantee you if you start getting a mystery click, it's the center diff. You're better off just replace it and don't waste your time. Especially if your front and rear diffs are in good shape inside and out, or you could let it ride like I did, and you're going to cook up your bulkhead and your bearings, and it's going to get even more expensive for you. So if I made the repair, then you may be wondering why Trashy here is sitting in the trash. Well, Hot Rod did too. So I sent him these videos. You know, I was kind of watching a Snickers bar commercial at the time, and I don't know, I thought it was pretty funny. Not going anywhere for a while? Grab yourself an Xmaxx. Feel like bashing? Just wait. No joke, literally 2 minutes after I got it all back together, I took it out to the driveway to give it a little test run, and the ESC took a poop. It started flashing all the LEDs, and they would just stay lit. There was no trouble code. It basically just fried itself. So right after one expensive repair, now my ESC's toast. Yeah, I was not happy. So Trashy was living in the trash where it belonged for a while. I don't feel bad about that. After doing about 5 minutes of research, I realized that the ESCs were just crap anyway, so I decided to go with the Max 6. Luckily the hobby shop down the street had one, and I installed it, and I figured while I was there I'll go ahead and replace the fan since I can't run the temperature sensor on the motor anyway. Plus anytime it was on it sounded like somebody had their finger stuck in it because half the blades were busted off. I travel a lot for work, and time was really running short here because I had a trip coming up where I knew I was going to be gone for about 3 months, and then it snowed, and I finally got it all back together, and this is what happened.
Snowmageddon, take one. Xmaxx versus snow-covered parking lot, take one.
Let's see if I can make it.
Gonna try to send it.
Anybody who knows me knows that smile. If you see that grin on my face, you should probably just stay away. That's my real happy smile. Yeah, seriously, I'm gonna try.
Try to send it.
For a brief little while here, the Xmaxx actually allowed me to have a good time. It didn't last very long though, you'll see.
That's the tires making noise.
Pretty much the only thing that kept me from lighting the thing on fire at this point was the fact that at least it was a different clicking sound. I knew it wasn't the center diff anymore, but then I thought it was strange when I lost rear wheel drive and only had front wheel drive, but you'll see why in a second. I found that the external diff gears, the pinion and the ring gear, were in good shape. So once I cracked it open, I saw that the internals basically blew themselves apart. Good times. So I just went and replaced everything. Everything. Nothing original on this Driveline was allowed to remain at this point. I replaced the diff carriers, both front and rear. I replaced both front and rear ring gears, both front and rear pinion gears, everything. The internal spider gears, the internal everything. Completely rebuilt, except for the drive cups. I couldn't get drive cups in time. Only having a few days left before I had to go on this 3-month-long trip, I spent about 2 hours on the road going to 3 different places to get all these parts. Unfortunately, nobody had drive cups because I wanted to take it out and just beat the holy crap out of it. It had caused me so much aggravation, I just wanted to punish it, and you can see how it got punished. Because, you know, the running joke of it just being the Trashmaxx was really expensive and frustrating, and it just really bothered me. I had already made up my mind that while I was away for this trip that I was going to get everything it needed to make it a respectable RC truck. Anyway, enjoy the punishment. It got dished out. If you want to see the entire video of me punishing it, it is in the link below. Last winter bashing session for 2018-2019. I believe the punishment starts around 10 minutes into the video. There's always a method to my madness, and yeah, I purposely loaded up those wheels with as much water as I possibly could before I did these drone runs. I wanted to exploit every defective characteristic of it going through the air, how it landed, how it tumbled on the ground when it crashed. I mean, everything. I wanted to see every weak point on it, and to do that, I filled up the wheels with water. All the extra weight and the unbalanced load, it just amplified all of it, just magnified it. Hey, look at me. It was perfect for when I analyzed the footage later, looking at upgrades. Yeah, from this point on in the day, it was just having fun, just beating the snot out of it. It's not every day you get to take your truck out knowing that you're going to be gone for 3 months and replacing everything on it anyway. So, hey, just beat the crap out of it.
Someone's trying to completely destroy it?
Yes, I was. Don't pay attention to that head shake.
On the destruction scale, I give it a 7.5 to a 10.
I ain't worried about it.
That was a new tire.
Was.
Fucking packages everywhere. Everywhere. Jesus Christ. Look at this. It's like Christmas and it's not even for me.
You know, originally I was going to do the work when I got back, and I'm not sure if I asked Hot Rod or if he volunteered, but either way, man, as long as I didn't have to do it, if he was willing to do it, oh man, I love you, bro. Thank you. The trips I go on are very, very boring, so this was actually like the highlight of my trip, was watching him open all my crap. At one point I asked him what the hell the shit was on the bottom right, and this is the response I got, as well as many other entertaining updates.
Oh, don't worry. Those are for my car. Sparko says, hurrah! 3 reasons I'm not upset about doing this. A, I own an E-Revo 2.0, has more fucking screws than a Volkswagen. B, you're a friend of mine. And C, it does have a lot of hand room to work with in here. But it is a big old slopopotamus dust collector. Dirt collector, sand collector, mud collector. Yeah, those fucking ramps are here. The box is about the size of a refrigerator, and they're in my living room. So, I can't wait to see the look on Princess's face when she gets here. It's gonna be haha. Skinning this fucking cat. You just hold the goddamn tail. From being an E-Revo 2.0 owner and a Mini Revo owner, I predict I'll have the whole rear end completely redone and cleaned up within the next hour or two. This thing is cake compared to the other Traxxas shit. When rebuilding C-hub or axle carriers, whatever you want to call it, keep an eye on this retaining clip. because they go flying with pretty good distance, but I was able to find it in this shit mess back here behind. Your carrier bearings were trash, just gritty. Oh, look at this one. Boop. Ooh, that's nice. I like to apply a little bit of 3-in-1 oil to clean off the gunk off of there, get it nice and clean. It goes in easier when it's lubricated.
Would you just look at that? Look at that, would you? Oh, look at that. Just look at it.
As good as everything looks back here, I don't even want to put the wheelie bar back on because it just hides all the bling bling. So the way this wheelie bar is set up, it is going to roll back really freaking far. These tires are fucking badass, dude. Oh, that's a sweet looking Xmaxx. That's a sweeter looking Xmaxx. Well, here we go. Round 2, front end Friday. I love this big old pile of mess. I think I need a bigger table. These drive cups look like shit.
So that's it for part 1 of this video. I'm wrapping up part 2 at the moment. These videos take a very long time to put together. I'm going through old footage and I'm re-looking up the parts because in the next video I'm going to have everything listed, part numbers, where I got them, etc. and go into detail as to why I chose those upgrades. There's some upgrades that I haven't got to, and I'll get into that as well. Comparing this footage with some of the older stuff you've seen, you should immediately be able to see the improvements in the Xmaxx that these upgrades have made. And I almost forgot, you know, if you've got a mystery click going on in your Xmaxx and you can't isolate it, I would definitely look at that center diff. In fact, I would probably just replace it, no questions asked. Or at the very least, replace that coupler and the center drive shaft. It's going to be one of those two things. Anyways, I'm out of here. I got more cars to break and more videos to make. Part 2 should be out in the next week or two. So if you like part 1 and you're looking forward to part 2, don't forget to subscribe, smash the bell, and the saga will continue. Until then, I'm out. See you.